Cool, man. Well, I've been playing Hades on Game Pass.
Mm.
This is a really bad month for Game Pass, and I mean that in the best of ways, because they're just dropping like some really hot games this month. They just came out with the Ascent last week. About a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, came out with Microsoft Flight Simulator. Hades came out on Friday. I'm pretty sure this week or next week is 12 minutes, which I'm super amped about. I only have so much time, dude. And like I was talking with Damien about this yesterday. He's like, "Why don't you fucking finish one game before you move on to the next?" And
Uh,
he's
spoken like a true prophet.
he's right, but I'm just so excited about some of these releases that I am like compelled to like bounce from one to the next.
Sure.
So right now, I'm all about Hades, and I think that this might be the one to stick all the way through for a while, man. I have only put in, I want to say maybe 3, 4 like solid hours of gameplay. I've certainly had the game loaded longer than that, but I'll sit down, I'll go through a run, and then maybe I'll get up and I'll do the dishes, and I'll come back and I'll do another run, and then I'll go and like fold some laundry, and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's
Hmm.
it's rarely a continuous like single play, but man, it is just, it's got its hooks in me, dude. I think it really clicked this afternoon when I was playing. The game is an isometric uh, brawler, very similar to SuperGiant's other release. You have Transistor, you have
Yep. Bastion.
Bastion, was it? Yeah. So it's that same view, very similar kind of art style, but a very distinct art style, I think. And
It looks great.
it looks phenomenal. It runs silky smooth. I haven't had any slowdown, any freezing whatsoever. And there's a ton of dialogue in this game, and it's all voice acted. Every bit of dialogue that you read, there's a voice actor for. And you are dealing with essentially all of the Greek gods.
Hmm.
One at a time. You're encountering them, and it's usually to help you in your quest. And you are playing as the lead character's name is Zagreus. I guess he's like
Hmm.
the prince of the underworld. I'm really not good with my mythology, but he's the son of Hades, and he is trying to escape the house of Hades. And Hades is like, "Fuck you! You're not getting out of here. You can't." And as he's progressing through the different realms trying to escape, he's got to deal with all these different enemies, right? And essentially, what's happening is you're going into a room and you're clearing it of all the enemies that are in the room. And then once you've cleared it, a boon drops, which will enhance your character temporarily. And then you move on to the next room. And you could choose, like, you kind of have an inkling which door you're going in based on a symbol that shows you whether it corresponds with a god or if it corresponds with a like currency that you could pick up or whatever the case is. So you go into the next room, you clear all the enemies in there, you pick up the next item, move on to the next one. You basically wash, rinse, and repeat. But the thing is that it's a roguelike. So all this shit is randomized, right? The rooms,
Hmm.
the order that's presented to you, it's randomized. The enemies that appear, randomized. The boons that you get, randomized. And when you die, only certain types of progress is carried with you into your next run. So you basically have items that will persist throughout the game permanently, and you have items that are only persisting during your specific instance, your current life, so to speak. Once you die, you go back to the House of Hades, you start all over again. So each time you go through those items that you earn that are permanent, you can go into the House of Hades and start exploring and chatting with people and upgrading your skills so that the next time you go through, you're a little stronger.
Hmm.
Maybe that's a different weapon. Maybe it's a perk that increases your critical hits. Maybe it's a perk that allows you to revive when you die one time. You get half your life back, and then if you die a second time, then that time is for real. Or perhaps it's a sword or a bow and arrow or a shield that you use like fucking Captain America, or I just before we recorded, I just unlocked fists. I guess there's some kind of gauntlets that you can wear and you punch the crap out of stuff. And I haven't had an actual run with them yet, but I do have them now, so I'm looking forward to checking those out. And then there's also these elixirs that you can give to the different gods, and as you're talking to them, you're kind of gaining their favor. And I guess something about the elixir they like. So let's say I'm talking with Persephone, right? Or Achilles. I can go up to Achilles and I can say, hey man, here's an elixir. And he'll be like, oh, thank you so much. Here's an item that you can use that you can have forever. And that item might be something along the lines of making me faster, or it might, give me a 10% increase on, one particular currency, or maybe it'll allow my hits from behind to cause more damage, or maybe it gives me extra life. There's all these different perks that you can use, but you can only wear one of them at a time. So as you go through and you start giving more and more elixir to these different gods, you're gaining favor with them. They're giving you something in return, and then you have to kind of cater your play style to that particular item.
Mm-hmm.
It gets even deeper than that, though, because those items level up. So that 10% boost, if you get the item to level 2, might now become 15% or 20%, And that makes a huge difference, especially when you start getting the boons in the game that also affect your stats, that make the weapons more efficient, your special attacks more efficient, and it just kind of snowballs. And you can feel yourself growing more powerful each time you die and you go back in, once you start investing in these different things. It's a lot of fun, man. There's a lot to keep track of. There's like you're rebuilding the House of Hades as you go. So there's one currency that you can use to unlock like new areas within the house. Maybe like, for example, there's a musician that I'm trying to essentially free at the moment. He's locked up. I'm trying to get him free. And I'm assuming that once I free him, now we'll have an area where there's music and, more of the gods can hang out. I really don't know.